Hey, what's happening? Holy smokes. It's Sunday, January 15th, 2023. Man, I haven't done one of these all year. Yeah, got a lot to talk about. Where should we start? We'll start with the poster that's on that wall back there. So if you see Avett Brothers, that was my fourth show. It was July 3rd, just the day before 4th of July. So I've always liked that poster. It's got the little firework in the center. Kind of got a carnival, like poster kind of vibe to it. So that was outside of a casino in Council Bluffs, Iowa, Stir Cove. And I've seen them play there a few times. But that was show number 4. I was starting to get hooked with the Avett Brothers. It was so it's an outdoor kind of venue, whatever. Maybe 2,000 people can fit in there. I've seen a lot of shows. Obviously, Avett Brothers are my favorite to see anywhere. And so Stir Cove, Avett Brothers came there. That's the first time I saw them there at that venue. And they played a lot of good songs that night. They did a cover of Merle Haggard, I Won't Give Up My Train. So I worked at the railroad that time, just across the river over in Omaha, in their corporate headquarters. And so I've always been a fan of Merle Haggard and really like I Won't Give Up My Train. So Scott Avett and his band, the Avett Brothers, played it that night. In fact, I checked the database. So there's a cool database that tracks all of their songs going back several years, decades even. And so they've only played I Won't Give Up My Train 8 times. And guess who's seen them twice do it? Me. Love it. So I've seen 25% of the time they've played I Won't Give Up My Train. If you've not heard it, check out Merle Haggard, the original. Pretty incredible. And then check out the Avett Brothers. There's a good YouTube video of Scott Avett just singing it by himself without the band. But if you search hard enough, when they played it that night in Council Bluffs back in 2012. I think it was 20, yeah. So it's available on YouTube also. I just watched it. Made me feel good. So, also, look at these cool things I got. Beats. So I got those, started working out on the elliptical, and I thought I needed new headphones. So I'd never tried on a pair of Beats. But I knew that they were owned by Apple. So Dr. Dre started Beats headphones and then sold it to Apple. And so I'm a fan of Apple products. I was kind of disappointed when these Bose Q35, these are way more comfortable and noise canceling, but the little switch broke on them. So I need to find someone that can replace that for me. They're still, they still work. It's just, I can't get them to power on because of that switch. So Bose Q35, these are like 7 years old now, but I hope to get them to work. Super comfortable. But I will say where Apple kind of shines, so I took these out of the box and I didn't have to do anything. Like my iPhone just paired up with them. Didn't have to download an app or anything. And the sound's really good. And the price point was nice. I got them on sale. So that's kind of cool. I'll be working out here in probably another hour or 2. And I'll put those on. They're just kind of sturdy, probably my only fault is they're not super comfortable like the Bose. The Bose are a little softer. And that's kind of me being goofy. But, these are comfortable. I just love that they work well with the Apple phone. Also got a big TV. Kind of had a heck of a struggle with getting this TV. I ordered it back in October and had some issues, but it came. And so I'm starting to watch some more movies. There's not a whole lot to do in January in Iowa when it's cold, although today was nice. Took my dog Bogey for a good walk. But I've been watching some movies, and so I want to talk about a movie that came out in 2021. Obviously, the pandemic was in full effect, and so it's a really good movie called Midnight Alley. Stars Bradley Cooper, Kate Blanchett, Good supporting cast. Willem Dafoe plays like a kind of a goofball carnival. Um, kind of, I don't even know how to describe his character. He has kind of a insanely gross act where basically he uses humans to do kind of silly things. And obviously that attracts a crowd. So Willem Dafoe kind of plays a good role. Um, Ron Perlman of Sons of Anarchy, you probably remember him. He was the stepdad to Jax Teller. He is in that. He plays like a strong man. Um, but the movie's really well done. So it's supposed to be like back in the 1940s in Chicago. So you get some really cool scenes of downtown Chicago. Um, there's some scenes there where, like Batman, I'm trying to think of other films. I mean, there's been gobs and gobs filmed in Chicago, but it's kind of cool how they make it look 1940-ish. So it's kind of this twisted tale, kind of highlights, I would say, how people are different levels of con men, and so it was really well done. I was referred by a good friend of mine. He's like, you got to check that out. So it actually got nominated for an Oscar. Didn't win for Best Picture, but it's probably one you haven't heard of. Maybe just due to the pandemic, it wasn't in theaters, which is unfortunate. But Midnight Alley, so check that one out. Bradley Cooper does a really good job in that. Kind of shows, so it starts off and he's kind of down on his luck and he joins this traveling, carnival kind of sideshow, kind of just weird stuff. And he develops a skill to not read people's minds, but people think that he's reading their mind. So he has a partner. They kind of have code words. So as he's in front of a crowd, he's able to make people think that he's like the psychic. And so he's really developing that skill. Obviously, Brad Cooper, charming guy, good actor. And so he plays that role perfectly in Midnight Alley. Cate Blanchett is a psychiatrist who he befriends. And there's like this ultimate cat and mouse kind of who's going to level up on this con act that they have going. So I don't want to give it away. The ending's kind of powerful. So Midnight Alley is good. Also saw a Clint Eastwood one called Cry Macho. So I love Clint Eastwood. I believe he was 91 years old in Cry Macho. And I think it came out maybe a year or two ago. But I caught it on HBO, and Clint just does a phenomenal job. Directs it. It kind of starts out tough. I'd say the first 25 to 30 minutes, I wasn't really buying in. But after about 30 minutes, it becomes a Clint Eastwood film, ones that I love. And Clint has a great job of directing. So you get to see, so it's supposed to take place back in the 80s, and Clint Eastwood is this kind of broken down Bronco rider. So you kind of find out that he joined this Bronco riding circuit after he lost his wife and kid, and so he was kind of hopeless. And Dwight Yoakam of country music fame, and now he does some acting. I really like Dwight Yoakam. Yoakam just does a good job with acting in general. I feel kind of plays this kind of hickish character, and so he owns the Bronco company that Clint Eastwood works for. And so anyway, you find out that Yoakam had this child who he hasn't seen in about 14 years or 15, something like that. And his child was down in Mexico. So Dwight Yoakam kind of pressures Clint Eastwood into going down to kidnap him and bring him back to the States. And so Clint's kind of at the end of his career, doesn't have a whole lot, I suppose he feels living for. And so he says, yeah, I'll go down. So it's this journey. There's some really good scenery of Mexico, some little villages. And the characters really start to build. So Clint runs into the wife or the ex-wife, I should say, Dwight Yoakam, the mother of this child that he's searching for. Got a bug right there. I think I got him. But so she's kind of like involved in the cartel and very powerful, wealthy, and so she kind of tells him the son has ran away, so he's not living there. So now Clint's kind of got a little tougher journey. And she kind of wants to make her moves on Clint, and Clint turns her down, and so things get sideways pretty quick. And Clint kind of becomes on the run. And she knows that he's after his son, so then you have the cartel kind of chase. But Clint ends up ultimately finding the kid. The kid has this rooster named Macho, and so he does some rooster fighting down on the streets in Mexico City. And Clint earns this kid's trust. Kid's not very trustworthy, obviously, if you're running away from home. So Clint earns his trust, and they kind of go on this journey. And there's some really good scenes. So it really starts getting good about midway. And Clint has this gift to work with animals, and so their car gets stolen. And Dwight Yoakam's son, and the rooster kind of go on this cool journey in Mexico, and it's just good character development, and there's like this motif of friendship, trust, kind of rebuilding that maybe, and then Clint's charming. Obviously, Clint's been in tons of movies. Absolutely love that guy's stuff, his work, and so Clint kind of wins over this widowed woman who owns a restaurant, and she knows that he's going to bring this kid back to the United States. That's his plan, but she's fallen in love with Clint, and Clint's kind of this callous guy, but you can tell Clint's kind of falling for her too. And so there's kind of a cool scene where she's like telling him, basically that she loves him, and until they meet again or see it again. And so I don't want to give all that away, but it's a good film. If you want to check it out, it's on HBO Max. I was able to get that for like 3 months, pretty cheap. So I'm going to utilize that subscription. And now with my big TV, I'll be able to watch some good films. So I'm going to do some more film reviews also. But I want to talk about, because I always like to talk about a record or two. So today I'm going to talk about this one. It's Tyler Childers' Purgatory. And I've not opened this one. This I bought up at Walmart. Found it on the shelf for pretty cheap. It's going for decent money. I have an app called Discogs. You can buy and sell and trade vinyl. So I bought this one just because I like to have extra copies of albums that I really like. But so I bought this shortly after it came out. So this is the one I've opened. Upper right hand corner it says Purgatory is likely to be one of Americana's music big fall stories. Let me put my glasses on. That's better, now I can see. And I really like this because so I don't know if they do this anymore, but this record label used to do 10 bands for one cause. And it's on limited pink vinyl, so you can kind of see that. So obviously breast cancer awareness. So I was really glad to support the record and breast cancer awareness. So it's this cool hot pink. I love how it sounds on vinyl. So I'm going to talk about this record, which I think is really well done. So you see Tyler there. There's a couple quotes down here at the bottom that I thought were pretty cool. So the first one is, when you've understood this scripture, throw it away. If you can't understand this scripture, throw it away. I insist on your freedom. So that's a quote by Jack Kerouac. And, you can hear my dog Buggy. I apologize for that. And then the second quote at the bottom, it's a quote by Albert E. Brumley. And it says, "This world is not my home. I'm just a passing through." So that's kind of cool. And it's, so Purgatory, I mean, obviously it's a place between heaven and hell. Or like you're waiting, for the Savior to come and get you. So Tyler Childers, I've seen him live in concert once at a festival. Had a lot of fun at that festival. And so a lot of people think he's kind of fallen off the track because he doesn't play some of his songs that are super popular on this album anymore, which is cool. I have no problem with that. He's moved on. But so I want to talk about this once again. Tyler Childers. So the first song on side A, and it's a nice opener, and it kind of gives you an idea of the violin and the percussion that's kind of sets the ground for this album. And so the first song's called "I Swear to God," and it has a great fiddle, real powerful fiddle, and Tyler has this gift of using metaphors, to kind of maybe channel your thought process and maybe follow his line of thinking at the time, and maybe not. That's kind of the beauty of art. You kind of get to take it to where you feel it's at. But Tyler does a great job, I think, with use of metaphors throughout this. Also want to talk about Sturgill Simpson. So Sturgill, he produced this album. So Sturgill's super popular. Cool little backstories to Sturgill Simpson. He worked at Union Pacific Railroad. So I mentioned that I worked at the railroad. So he worked there, same time period that I did, but he was out in the Pacific Northwest. So anyway, Sturgill left the railroad, made a wise decision, became a huge hit, with his music. And so I will be talking about Sturgill Simpson because I absolutely love his work. But he produced this, and so I think him and Tyler Childers worked great with this one. But so the use of metaphors, like I said, Tyler's really good at that. And so I remember, probably like in the mid 2000s, I used to watch this series on HBO called Russell Simmons, Deaf Poetry. And so it's slam poetry. And I remember there's this guy named Steve Coleman, and a good video if you can check it out on YouTube. It's called "I Want to Hear a Poem." And anyway, so he's slamming, and one of my favorite parts of that poem, he said, "I want to hear a poem where ideas kiss simile so deeply that metaphors get jealous." And so I've always loved that. It's always stuck with me. And so anyway, I think Tyler does a good job of making metaphors jealous. Song 2 is Feathered Indians. Really like that one. Obviously it's super popular. One that Tyler doesn't really play anymore, which, like I said, I'm cool with. And the lyrics, so they start off, he says, "Well, my buckle makes impressions on the inside of her thigh." So you kind of know where that's going. But Feathered Indians is really good. Got just this cool beat to it. Lyrics are absolutely flames. Check it out. Feathered Indians is pretty solid. And then it goes into Tattoos. That's the third song. Has a real slow opening, and I think Tattoos is really good. Uses great lyrics to paint this kind of Redlands feel. Maybe with someone that you're in love with at one time, or maybe a family member or whatever. So kind of how they just stick with us, kind of like how a tattoo would. Born Again is the fourth song. Just as the title says, I think Tyler likes to weave in little tidbits of maybe religion or maybe some of his thoughts behind that. And so Born Again is pretty solid. And then it ends up, side A ends up with song 5, White House Road. And that one kind of reminds me, there's a guy by the name of Steve Earle, singer-songwriter, who's really talented. And back in the late 80s, I believe, he had a song called Copperhead Road. So I think Tyler, I've not done research, but Copperhead Road, I think there's some heavy influence, kind of beat-wise and kind of lyric flow and chorus maybe. So there's White House Road by Tyler Childers. Very popular. He no longer plays that one either. But it's a lot of fun. Like I said, it reminds me of Steve Earle's Copperhead Road in some instances. And then, so you flip it over to side B, and song 6 is Banded Cloves. Love the banjo on that one. I'm a huge banjo fan, and the banjo is just phenomenal on Banded Cloves, and it goes well with the violin. And as I hear Tyler singing that, you know, I can only imagine that dude can probably yodel pretty well. I'm a fan of yodeling also, so I would like to hear Tyler yodel maybe. The second song on side B is Purgatory, obviously the name of the record. Purgatory's really good. There's a lyric where Tyler says, "Catholic girl, pray for me. You're the only hope I have for heaven." And it's just what a hootenanny, you know, just a good little party. And you know, Tyler does a good job of, you know, kind of taking us down this path of purgatory, and it's worth checking out if you haven't heard it. Goes into Honky Tonk Flame. That's a lot of fun. Kind of chasing a woman story. Perfect. Really like that one. My favorite song of Tyler Childers is the 9th song on this record. It's called Universal Flame, and I just love that. So I mentioned Sturgill Simpson produced this one. I can almost assure you that Sturgill had some heavy influence on this universal sound. Kind of reminds me of a song that would belong on Sturgill's album, Melodrama of Modern Country Music. So I will be reviewing that album because I think it's kind of ahead of its time. It's been out for a while. Kind of like this one has been on for a while. But Universal Sound is just phenomenal. He played it the night that I saw him. So I was really glad to see that or hear it live. Yeah, Universal Sound is awesome. And so there's a lyric towards the end of that song. At least, you know, he says he feels a little haggard. So it's kind of a little nod to maybe Merle Haggard. And kind of talks about the home of the universal sound, sitting at a bar stool. And it kind of weaves this, you know, kind of where are we at between religion and just the place we are in the universe. So Universal Sound's my favorite. Love it. It finishes with Lady May. So Tyler's wife her name is Sonora May. And so Lady May, he wrote this beautiful song about his wife. It's called Lady May. So that's Tyler Childers. I kind of want to show this cool picture on the back. Hopefully you can see that right here. So there's like kind of what you would presume is Tyler Childers under this tree. And then he's kind of looking out into the atmosphere or stratosphere, I should say. And there's like some pictures of, or you know, some impressions of a couple deer, a doe and a buck, and then it's like Saturn, the planet Saturn with the rings around it. So, which I think plays into Universal Sound, as I said, my favorite song. So that's Tyler Childers. If you've not heard him, give him a little quick view, listen, whatever. You know, if you're watching on YouTube, he's got some fantastic videos out there. I'm really glad to be doing this again. I need to kind of polish my skills up. Feel a little rough with the flow, but I've not opened this one. So I always like to open up a record. So I bought this like a month or two ago, and it's Red Hot Chili Peppers. Their newest album, Return of the Dream Canteen. And this one I bought at Homer's. Like I always say, Homer's is my favorite record store. It's in Old Market in Omaha, Nebraska. Give them a look on Facebook if you're not from around here. And try to support them. They've been open since 1971. So they've been in the game a long time. And they've seen, you know, music styles change probably from what I would assume 8-tracks and then vinyl and then cassettes and then CDs and then, you know, digital kind of took over the world, and then now vinyl and CD are coming back. So anyway, I was glad to support Homer's. So I'm gonna open this one. It says it's on exclusive 2 gold vinyl LPs. 17 new songs. Like I said, I have not listened to it, so I'm hoping to give it a listen, and then maybe I'll talk about this one. So I've been a fan of Red Hot Chili Peppers since I was in the 8th grade. My first CD that I ever bought was Red Hot Chili Peppers, Blood Sugar Sex Magic, and I remember it was phenomenal. So I want to talk about Blood Sugar Sex Magic, and then I also want to talk about this one at some point. Hopefully it'll be the next one, the next video that I do. But let's take a look at this bad boy. Cool, it's got the lyrics, I like that. Some cool photos here. Flea, he's such a character. Flea's the bass player. Really like it. So let's take a look at this. How awesome is that? I'm digging that gold vinyl. I'm a fan of colored vinyl, as I've mentioned several times. If you've watched my videos, then you know I like the colored variants. But I really like it. It's gonna look so cool. So I'm gonna have to explore this one. I'm excited to get into it. But if you made it this far, I want to thank you. I enjoy doing these. I enjoy talking about music. It's my passion, has been for a long time. And so I'm going to try to just pick old albums, new albums. I don't know what direction I'm going to go with it, but I'm just going to talk about music that I like, that I'm passionate about, that I care about. And so if you listen to this or watching it, just know that I care about you. You know, I think the world's a tough spot. And I think sometimes we forget to tell people that we care about one another. But please subscribe and just know that I care about you. Be well. Until the next time. Adios.